move into the next phase of their lives. We respect Peter's decision, though we wish he would have remained. Our faith insists that there are no surplus people and that we can't discard none of us without diminishing all of us.
There is so much that we bring with us into this space, into this gathering of the faithful. There is so much that we need to name. We bring all of ourselves into this space, no less than all of ourselves will do. That is our most fundamental religious point of view. As we gather, we invoke, we call in, and we call on the Spirit of life to be present, to move within us, to move among us, and to move through us.
Spirit of life, come unto me.
We bring the shock of November's election. It is here with us and within us. Our confident expectations disappointed. The values at the heart of our faith challenged and threatened. The assumptions about gradual but predictable progress on which we built our hope proven wrong.
Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion.
We bring the energy of resistance made manifest in the Women's March, in the movement for Black lives, and the organizing and the efforts that continue this day. We bring our commitment not to accept fear and divisiveness. We are living the truth that resistance is what love looks like in the face of hate. Love resist. We bring our renewed hope that the beloved community is not just an ideal dream, that hope is here with us as well.
Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice.
We bring our grief at the absence of those we chose to lead us. That sense of loss is real, and so is uncertainty about the future. We also bring the knowledge that kindness and care have been absent from too many of our conversations. So many of us have fallen short of our promises. We must gather ready for truth-telling, but also willing to seek and offer forgiveness so that we can move forward together.
Roots hold me close, wings set me free.
We have a complex history as builders of beloved community, a history of both success and failure. Black lives of Unitarian Universalism and the white supremacy teach-ins held by almost 700 of our congregations call for urgent attention to the shortcomings of our present. There is a very human cost to our failures. Persons were not welcomed in a faith that claims to be universalist. Some persons decided to leave, knew they could not stay, though they also knew they might never find another religious home. who we are today is shaped by decisions we made yesterday.
We know that the culture in which we live, our habits of heart and mind, work to bind us in a world in which we all are not yet welcome. We are in and of this world, just as we work for its transformation. Most of us see this now, or to be more accurate, we glimpse the truth. Yet, as a community, we have traveled far, worked hard, learned much. We would not even be able to glimpse the truth of these days if we had been asleep all these years.
Like the flawed world in which we live, this community has a history that is waiting to be redeemed. Will we search for the opportunity in this time? Will we find a way to move forward together? Will we renew our commitment to build the world we dream about here and now and tomorrow as well? We gather at a time of decision, given yet another second chance. Help us find the hope in our history and the courage to accept this present opportunity with embracing love. Spirit of life, help us answer your call with a faithful yes. Will you sing with us?
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Whose holy clothes bring, set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y a corazón, cántale tu compasión, su clamor, su hasta moldear la justicia de la vida.
Thank you very much. A little business for this evening. The proposed rules of procedure can be found on pages 78 through 79 of the final agenda of your program book. These rules will govern our consideration of and voting upon the business items that come before us during these general sessions. The rules are largely the same as they have been in previous years. There are a couple of items, however, several items that I'd like to direct your attention to. As this is a justice-focused General Assembly, rules for actions of immediate witness have not been included this year. Please note that Rule 5 provides that no amendments to a business resolution, a bylaw change, or rule change will be in order unless submitted for consideration at the mini-assembly for that item. If you are interested in amending an item, you must go to the mini-assembly. Also, please note that Rule 5B indicates that 30 minutes is allowed for the discussion of any proposed bylaw or rule amendment, resolution, or action on a report that is on or admitted to the final agenda. The specific change states that the time includes time devoted to discussing any amendments to the proposed amendment. Any motion to extend time for debate must be made from the procedural microphone before time for that debate expires. This is an adjustment that simply clarifies the rule, provides other than if there are other bylaws that require action. Also, Rule 5C clarifications have been made to explicitly include our off-site delegates and adjust time limits so there are no speakers at the pro or con microphones regarding calling of the question. As a reminder, Rule 7 provides that separate microphones will be designated as pro and con for discussion of proposed bylaw amendments, rules, resolutions, or actions. The pro microphone is here, the con microphone is here, and the procedural microphone is here in the middle. As a reminder, Rule 10 requires that any responsive resolution must be submitted by 6 p.m. on Saturday. I strongly recommend that you speak with our legal counsel, Tom Bean. If you are bringing a proposed responsive resolution, he will be able to assist you with the wording and so forth. Please note that points of personal privilege and points of information must be made from this procedural mic, not from the pro or con mics or from the amendment mic, which is to my far left, and I believe that's your right. By the way, only delegates may speak from the microphones, except by express permission from the moderator. I strongly urge those of you who are attending this General Assembly for the first time to please read the rules of procedure, particularly look at Rule 6, on page 78 of the rules, so that you understand the time limits. The microphones will go off when your time is up. No person may speak on any motion for more than 2 minutes. 30 minutes is the time allowed for discussion of any proposed bylaw amendment, rule change, resolution, or action on a report that is on or admitted to the final agenda. Our legal counsel this year, once again, is Tom Bean, and our parliamentarian will be Nina Elgo. They will be here in the morning. Are we all clear on this? Of course you are. You read it before you came. Great. Will the board secretary make the appropriate motion with respect to the rules of procedure? My time's up.
Moderator Rhymes, I move the rules of procedure.
Does anybody want to, is there a second? I'm sorry, is there a second? Thank you. I see that there is a delegate at the procedural microphone. The moderator recognizes the delegate at the procedural microphone.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Carl Ponanen, delegate from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lansing in Lansing, Michigan. I have read the rules of procedure. I have a point of information, and if I don't like the answer I get, I'm going to run over to the amendment microphone. But maybe I'll like the answer, and the point will be moot.
Is this a challenge?
I didn't see addressed in the rules of procedure What is the required vote under our rules of procedure? What is the required vote for a motion of previous question?
Let me check with legal counsel. Will you hold on one moment? Thank you.
Parliamentarian's not here. Motion to move the previous question? I think it's a majority.
Was it the motion to move the previous question? Was that your question?
That is made from the floor. What vote? Is it a simple majority or a two-thirds majority
It's
to?
in Robert's rules. It's not in the rules of procedure.
Well, what is it in Robert's rules? Well, I believe it's two-thirds.
Simple
Simple majority?
It
Okay,
is a simple
I'm gonna
majority.
rush to an amendment microphone then.
So someone does want to discuss this further.
Not in the procedural rules.
Yes, please. Is this on?
The moderator recognizes the delegate at the amendment microphone.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Carl Ponanen from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lansing. I'd like to move that we amend the rules of procedure so that the motion for previous question requires a two-thirds vote rather than a simple majority.
I believe the motion is out of order given that the rules of procedure say nothing about calling the previous question. There's nothing to amend in...
Amending it by inserting that comment.
Our rules, our bylaws say we're governed by Robert's rules.
Our bylaws say that we're governed by Robert's Rules of Order.
Then can I ask somebody actually check a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, because I'm pretty sure it's two-thirds.
Whatever it is, it is.
Well, that's the question. That was what my question is.
Hold that thought one moment. Do we have an answer at the procedural microphone? We do not have an answer at the procedural microphone.
You ready?
No.
No, tell me. So no, I don't want you to get the microphone. But what I do want to say is that this is actually out of order. So the one thing that Jenny and Dennis said to us is that we can say no.
Yeah, we're not going to, I believe that we are not going to make an amendment to the procedural rules, as there's nothing in the procedural rules that would dictate calling the previous question. So should we get to that point in our debate, we will review Robert's Rules of Order and make a decision at that time. I recognize the delegate at the procedural microphone.
Kendall Gibbons from Kansas City, Missouri. As the parliamentarian of the UUMA, I had occasion to research this. It is two-thirds in Robert's Rules of Order to call the question.
Thank you very much, Kendall. And we will cross that bridge as we come to it. There being no further discussion of the rules of procedure, discussion is now closed and a vote is in order. So this is a chance for you to use your voting cards, those bright yellow cards that you got if you are a delegate. All those in favor of adopting the rules of procedure as stated, please do so by raising your voting card. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries and the rules of procedure have been adopted as soon as we check with our off-site delegates. 100% of our off-site delegates chose to vote in favor of approving the rules of procedure. Before we continue, I want to make a comment about the weather. Who knew that the moderator also got to be the weather woman? I know a number of you have been worried about the weather, and the Planning Committee and our staff are in contact with the Convention Center Public Safety Office. If there are any imminent issues, they will let us know. There is a public address system here in the building. So when your mobile device tweets that there has been some sort of warning and everyone in the room goes, oh my gosh, there's a warning, sit still. It could be from a nearby parish or nearby city. The GA Planning Office, the staff, and the Public Safety Office will let us know if anything needs to be done. We are in a safe place. There are no windows. We are in an internal room. So please be assured that your health and well-being are being looked after. I'd also add that if you are a delegate on a related weather note, if you are a delegate who was not able to get here because of the weather, and you are watching the live stream, it is very simple to go to the GA website on the UUA website and switch your status to off-site delegate if you choose to do so. We love technology. It's my pleasure now to introduce two of my board colleagues, Sarah Dan Jones and Elandria Williams.
Take a breath with me, friends. Hallelujah. My name is Sarah Dan Jones, and I serve as the Director of Music at the Star King Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Plymouth, New Hampshire, and I also serve on your UUA Board of Trustees. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the South, baby. We're Southerners. We're very happy.
That's it.
My name is Elandria Williams, and I'm a member of Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee, and also a member of the Board of Trustees.
This is you.
Yeah. We are here at this General Assembly in the midst of troubling and trying times in the world around us, and also within our UU faith institution and community. We each have different sources to help us move through. One source that most of us turn to, and which is connected to my cultural and spiritual tradition, is turning to our ancestors for guidance, remembrance, and for me, the Holy or the Spirit. There's a song by Sweet Honey and the Rock called We Are. And in the song they sing, we are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. While we are here in body and spirit, there are those of us that we thought would be amongst us that have joined the ancestors across this country and the world. They are now our ancestral guides. One of those people was Jim Key. I met Jim as a teenager when we served on the then Thomas Jefferson District Board. I'm now 37, about to be 38, if that helps in terms of time. His infectious smile and laugh, as well as his passion for Unitarian Universalism and justice, was uncontainable. I will miss Jim, and a lot of us will miss Jim, with all of our heart and spirit. We talked about honoring our ancestors at the last in-person board meeting before he passed so suddenly away. It is customary at the board face-to-face meetings to leave an open chair around our table. This chair is to honor the voices that have blessed the proceedings in the past and to leave space for observers, those in the present, to join us when appropriate. It is an important custom and a sacred one when we meet as Board of Trustees. We give thanks to Denise Rhymes for suggesting that we honor both Jim and all of the other ancestors in our lives, in your lives, with an open chair. This open chair will remain as such throughout the General Assembly, remembering that all are important. In the spirit of remembering and honoring our ancestors and some African and African American cultures and traditions, we pour libations. Libations are poured to honor their lives, their courage, and to remember the lessons they taught us. We are going to pour libations this evening to remember and honor Jim Key, and other people who've had great value in all of our lives. We are first going to call out some names from here on the podium, and then after we call each name, we will pour some water onto this plant. And after we say each name, we will say Ashe. So can everyone say Ashe with me? Ashe? Ashe. And so after we do this process, we're gonna do 5 names, and then we're gonna ask you to call out a name, and then we'll pour libations, and then we'll say Ashe, one more name, and then we'll close it out. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Jim Key.
Ashe.
Marjorie Bowen Sweetley.
Ashe. Marlis Brinkman.
Ashe.
Philando Castillo.
Ashe.
Charlena Lyons.
Ashe. Now please say a name, and during this process, we will all say Ashe until the water is poured. My friends, lift your voice unto the room.
Jared Williams. All right, we're done.
May we all say Ashe.
Ashe.
For all the names that have been spoken and unspoken, we say Ashe 3 times. Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe.
We sing in that closing line, or actually it's the middle line from the sweet honey in the rock. We're going to sing that line 3 times. You know, feel free to sing it as you wish. And I'll start us off. If you don't know it, join in, listen, and you'll learn. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreams. It's actually breaths. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. Ashe.
Thank you so much. It is my great pleasure now to introduce to you our amazing Right Relationship team. Please welcome Stephen Ballesteros and Reverend Hannah Villeneuve.
Friends, we are gathered together in faith, in covenant, and in community. And we, as members of this Assembly's Right Relationship team, are glad to be here with you all in magical New Orleans. Our time here will be fruitful and full as we learn from one another and grow our hearts and minds. And here, now, we gather amidst our current administration, as violence is visited upon many bodies and injustice follows. While water stays impure and militarization and greed push forward against our deeply spiritual commitments to life, to love, and to our shared future. Here now we gather to grow and to be revitalized as progress champions forward under the firm hands of our siblings of color, our warriors for Mother Earth, our feminine protectors, and our families in faith. Here now we gather as our association grows into itself through the hearts of stewards in the wake of many waves, and after the loss of our beloved moderator, James Key. And our association is currently experiencing pains. There is no question in this regard, and it is necessary that we as a collective body bear witness and make moves. Division can take many forms as we navigate our comfort zones and the needs of many. and change is necessary for a health that takes care of each and every one of us. So we, as members of this wider team effort, are present for that. Please, let us be there for you. And so we gather amidst our personal loss and joys together, persevering onward. And as our assembly carries forward, it is our great pleasure and honor to uphold right relationship building, to deliver reports on the state of our assembly, and to serve coming back into covenant and beloved community. I, along with my co-chair, the Reverend Hannah Villeneuve, would like to introduce you to this year's right relationship team. Clarice Mason, Daniel Martin, Don Fortune, Elizabeth Mount, Miguel Rivera, Patricia Stout, and Rachel Miles. Please find us throughout this week in our fiercely identifiable orange when you need to process and when you need to find solutions as you feel your way back into our community. You can find more information about the RRT in your app and program books, and you can contact us through the phone number that is listed there. Beloveds, we are in this joyous gathering and in this important work together. So let this be a week guided by truth. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you for your commitment to this important work. I'd also like to welcome our 2017 General Assembly chaplains. The chaplains are available during General Assembly and will often be in the chaplain office in room 211. Welcome to the chaplains.
Hello, everybody. I'm Reverend John Cresswell, representing the great city of Annapolis, Maryland. And I am so happy to provide services as one of your chaplains this year. I'm a co-lead chaplain also with Alex Holt. And one thing I want to tell you this evening is that when the hat is on, this means we're on duty. And when the hat is off, so on duty, off duty, on duty, all right. Joining Reverend Alex and myself are Reverend Jan Carlson-Bull, Reverend Meredith Garman, Reverend Joan Javier Duval, and Reverend Maria Cristina Vlacidas Bogoa. So look for us at our official chaplain site, room 211. Look for the hat as well, as I've mentioned, to provide pastoral support and deep listening for you this week. Thank you.
Every year for the past, I don't even know how many years, we have been blessed with the work of our General Assembly accessibility team led by Patty Cameron. And Patty is here this evening to tell us a little bit about accessibility and how to continue to make General Assembly more accessible to more people. Patty?
My name is Patty Cameron, and it's my pleasure to coordinate accessibility services for General Assembly again this year. Our services are available to anyone registered here at General Assembly, and our goal is to provide assistance that allows everyone to participate fully in GA. But accessibility is not my job alone. It is our collective role to practice radical hospitality in order to build that beloved community, a community that includes everyone. Those who use mobility equipment, listening devices, interpreters, have chemical sensitivity, assist animals, or need special seating to accommodate for vision or hearing. It's our collective role to welcome all. I ask for your indulgence in reserving the elevators for people with mobility or health needs. I invite you to be with one another this week in ways that allow you to practice radical hospitality. Stretch your comfort zone, enrich your spirit, and widen your field as you take in all those around you, whether they walk or ride. We are all part of this General Assembly, one beloved community, a bright, wonderful community of people of all abilities. Be with each other in love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. Guess what? It's time to party. Let me remind you, after our evening festivities, and to echo Patty's comments, that if you will let those individuals with mobility devices leave the hall first so that they can find their way safely out of the hall, that would be much appreciated. There being no further business to come before us, and in accordance with the schedule set forth in your program book, which you have all read from cover to cover, I declare that this general session of the General Assembly shall stand in recess until 8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let the opening celebration begin.
a new place, a new cultural landscape, a new political, a new way of being, a new way of knowing, a new longing, a new calm, a new city, a new story.
Home is where my feet touch the ground. Home is moments with a loved one, communicating without sound. Home is silence dancing deep breath. Home is where the tears are found. Home is laughter, light, and darkness, spilling forth and circling round. Home is where I find myself. Home is passion so profound. Home is twilight ebbing, flowing. Homeward here, homeward bound.
Resist.
Rejoice.
Resist.
Rejoice.
Passion. Homewood.
Resist.
There's a river.
Passion. Homewood.
Resist.
Passion. Where we're called.
Resist.
Now I read that.
Where we're called.
Resist.
Passion.
And it's telling me.
Resist.
place of comfort. And life has a way of taking us out of our comfort zone. 12 years ago, after Hurricane Katrina, most in this city lost their homes to the federal flood of 2005, experiencing an extended stay far out of the zone of comfort. For many, that stay is permanent. For some, because they chose not to return. For others, because they could not afford to return. And for still others, because systems of oppression in government and private enterprise denied their return. Some families were denied their homes of many generations because they could not produce a paper title. Many learned that their homes, both detached houses and units in large housing projects, would be torn down and not rebuilt. Most who had this experience were Black. While the population of New Orleans has nearly reached its pre-flood level of 400,000, there are today 90,000 fewer Black residents. When I came to this city 4 years ago, I began to hear the stories of how that natural and human-made disaster affected the lives of people here I have come to love. The federal flood moved all in this city out of the zone of comfort. As the waters receded, they revealed submerged issues of justice, power, and faith, of oppressions and how they intersect with each other and impact our collective stewardship of the land and water we live on, of privileges and how they enable us to look away or to seize control. After the flood, those who were here recall the eerie, uncanny silence of the city. No engines, no lights, no birds, no children. The kind of silence that makes you listen. In the first few years, if your neighbor asked you for something, you said, yes, that's all. And for years after, on that day, August 29th, everyday conversations, even with strangers, stopped to include a few minutes of listening to each other's stories, of where you were and where you went and who or what you lost, and what happened next. Even today, it is not unusual for a survivor to share a storm story with a total stranger. Often, these last 4 years, that stranger has been me. This week, that stranger might be you. Outside the zone of comfort, there come invitations to learn, to stretch our awareness, our knowledge of ourselves and our neighbors, of privilege and oppression, of ourselves, of systemic injustice, and how oppressions intersect, and of how evil may be resisted through faith and power and justice. Outside the zone of comfort, New Orleans' 3 small Unitarian Universalist congregations ceased competing and learned to be in right relationship. And I have been blessed to learn from New Orleans Unitarian Universalists about how to lean into discomfort in order to stay in right relationship. I invite you to seek this blessing while you are here, for I assure you, we are offering it to you. I invite you to wonder with me, how do we get to that place of radical and holy discomfort without reenacting disaster? How do we awaken every day our capacity to look and look deeply, to listen and listen deeply? How do we connect head, heart, and hands in the service of faith and power and justice? At its founding, what is now First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans was known as the Strangers Church, and we have a tradition of greeting strangers as friends. Please turn now, look and listen and smile and greet your neighbors and take your neighbors by the hand.
Please rise as you are willing and able. Remaining hand in hand, join us in spirit and sing. Hand in hand, stone by stone, help me build our sacred home. Hand in hand, stone by stone, help me build our sacred home. This house is built on love. This house is built with faith. This house is going to stand for good forever and a day. Come on down this path with me to the place where the road ends. Beyond, beyond, beyond. Yeah. Hand in hand, stone by stone, help me build our sacred home. Hand in hand, stone by stone, help me build our sacred home. People gonna see us speaking out. People gonna see us holding strong. Everybody gonna sing out loud. Come on, sing along. Come on down the path with me
Is home always somewhere over the rainbow, way up high? Perhaps in a foreign land, perhaps here. When my dad's parents, Henri and Lorraine, emigrated from Haiti in the 1970s, they were looking for a home that could offer them the opportunities that were always just beyond their reach in their native land. Haiti has been racked by centuries of oppression, embargo, ecological devastation, and dictatorship, neglect. My grandparents left the political and economic turmoil to start a new life in the United States, coming here as generations had before and after them. They recreated themselves and their children in New York City. They worked hard, they learned English, and they established a new home here in the United States. And in this process, they added their spices, language, colorful art, blood, sweat, and tears to the extravagant bounty of this country. Their children took various paths in this life. My generation, their grandchildren, went off in many more directions, including one special case who went on to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. And we're just beginning to learn what paths their great-grandchildren might take in this land. And along the ways, there have been some incredible success stories, some heroic turnarounds, college graduations, small businesses, fantastic travels across the globe. And we've had some spectacular failures and profound disappointments. Lives lost too soon to illness or violence, addiction, and broken relationships. Home has to be a container that is strong enough to hold us in the best of times and the worst. Where is home for the immigrant and their descendants? Home is where we are. I believe that my grandparents carried home with them in their hearts in pieces. And wherever they could come together as a family, bringing those pieces together, there was home. For me, home is where I am free to be me, free to hang my pictures up on the wall. It has a table for me to order my thoughts through writing. It has a place for me to laugh in my reckless way of laughing, and another place where I might cry when crying is the right thing to do. It's a place of love, truth-telling, and courage. I can't say that I've actually found that home just yet, but I've certainly seen glimpses of it. Unitarian Universalism has offered some tantalizing bits of home. It's done that for me over the years. And at other times, it's made me wonder. There's no place quite like home. And in a way, that notion makes me fearless as I seek it out. New Orleans is a great city, a city that has been home to people for countless generations. First to the indigenous peoples of this land, of the Americas, then the Spanish and French colonists, enslaved Africans, Haitian exiles, Vietnamese immigrants, second, third, and fourth generation Irish, Italian and Jewish Americans, even a good number of Unitarian Universalists of all kinds. My, people come and go so quickly here.
We come and go so quickly. We aren't always sure where we come from, where we are, or where we are going. Together, let's rise in body and or spirit to sing the words by Paul Gauguin, set to music by Brian Tate. We'll sing this 3 times, the first time all together, and the next 2 times as a round. Please follow the lead of your leaders. At the end, keep repeating mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we
Like most people, when I was a child, my parents and teachers taught me how important it is to always tell the truth. But sometimes telling the truth about ourselves isn't easy. In fact, it can be downright dangerous. When I was a young boy, yes, boy, I often used to pray to the God of my understanding, "Please, God, make me a girl." This was the truth about myself that I couldn't tell to anyone else for over 50 years. During those years, the life I was living was not as honest as I would have wanted. Perhaps if I had found a Unitarian Universalist community earlier, I would have been able to share my deepest truth before I did. Eventually, though, the truth refused to be hidden any longer, and I found the courage to share my pain with a few other people, and eventually the whole world. The process of claiming my truth was not a smooth one. It was really hard work. It was painful, and it came with a deep price. My transition led to rejection and sorrow, loss and grief. In the end, though, I discovered another secret that I had been carrying, a secret I didn't even know about myself. And that secret was my ability just to love and to share my love with strangers. The ability to share someone else's pain, to be a comforting presence for those whose voices need to be heard. These are some of the other gifts I didn't realize I had until after I felt the knives of prejudice, anger, and fear against my own bare skin. Until I realized that so many others, millions of others, bear the scars of such things from the earliest moments of their being, I wasn't able to love as fully as I do right now. During my difficult but joyful transition, I began to ask myself questions about our country and who I am. And it was during my gender transition that I finally discovered Unitarian Universalism. Within a few short years of becoming a Unitarian Universalist, I heeded an irresistible call to ministry. That call has opened up for me a door to telling not just my truth, but to sharing my truth and our truths with love and with compassion. Love and compassion for the listeners, irrespective of who they are or what they might believe or whether they might disagree with me. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many truths to tell. Truths about justice, liberty, equality, compassion, and human rights for every single person. Yet in the past couple of years, and especially more recently, during the unusual times in which we find ourselves now living, our shared truths as Unitarian Universalists appear to have been lost on those who do not share our vision of the world or our country. Our views on religion, our views on peace and justice and how to achieve it. These truths need to fall on fertile ground during times like these. Is it possible that our sadness that people don't agree with us is self-inflicted? Should we have paid more attention to those both within and outside Unitarian Universalism who did not then and do not now agree with the majority of Unitarian Universalists? Perhaps that's so, but for me, as I move forward, I've learned that the truth is simply not enough. I know that I must do more to include love and compassion with the truths that I believe in and as I share them. I'm proud to be a trans woman. I'm really happy in my skin, and I'm thrilled to be living out the journey of my faith. My faith in Unitarian Universalism's beliefs and principles has never, ever been stronger than it is today. Just using a public restroom is one example for me of an act of faith that the God of my understanding loves me. And in that faith, I can find the courage to love back. With love and compassion comes the courage to resist injustice.
Unitarian Universalist Musicians Network member Scott Rowe has written this beautiful song, Resist, to accompany our call for compassion in the face of injustice. Will you join us in singing, please?
As the world grows dark with gathering rain, our ship falters at sea. We are lost amid the rising waves that threaten democracy. Our hopes and dreams alight, we'll chart our course by the light. In the coming years, resist the fears that threaten humanity. As the shadows spread around the earth, there's soon nowhere to flee. We will ease the suffering and ease the hatred that threatens community. Our hearts and hands will unite. We'll sing for all that is right. In the coming years, resist the fears that threaten humanity. Resist the fears that threaten
Though we tremble before uncertain futures, may we meet illness, death, and adversity with strength. May we dance in the face of our fears, writes trailblazer Gloria Andalsua, who knew a thing or two about courage. Courage requires both vulnerability and careful strategy. I am not unlike other people of color in mostly white company in that I don't often show my full self. I'm guarded, not inauthentic, because the me that is learned to navigate mostly white spaces definitely is part of me. It just isn't my whole self. To bring my full self certainly would mean risking being misunderstood, but more than that, I would risk inviting even more harmful words and behaviors into my day. Each day is an ever exhausting dance of negotiating each interaction and conversation. How much of me do I allow this person or group to see? How much of that decision is about risking vulnerability, and how much is about self-preservation? Hundreds of times a day, I must ask myself, who benefits from this risk more? This time, does stepping out into the unknown or withholding my full self simply serve to alleviate the discomfort of another? Or does it bring me closer to true freedom? Courage is not demanding safety when confronting annoyance of having one's haughty and long-held answers questioned. It is incompatible with despair. Courage is not becoming defensive or insisting on being viewed as an individual when the privileges of membership in a dominant group are brought to light. Rather, courage recognizes that growth insists on a willingness to be utterly transformed. Courage is not believing that anyone is quote unquote helping or coming to the quote unquote assistance of members of marginalized groups. Rather, it is recognizing that the need to play savior comes from the societal brainwashing caused by systems that convince some they are superior over others. Courage is seeking one's own liberation from these lies, knowing it will require a relinquishment of power and an admittance that they've been bamboozled. Courage does not require perfection from us, or airtight plans, or even expertise. But I'll tell you what courage does require. Courage requires taking great risks while stepping into the unknown. It takes no courage to shut one's mouth, step aside, and listen when needed. The only thing at risk here is one's ego and a self-identity built around this myth of superiority. Courage does not ask us to stop trembling. It asks us to find ways to incorporate our trembles into our dance. Courage, the faithful companion of hope, keeps us going, traveling into the unknown, knowing that both smooth sailing and rough waters are ahead. Courage is sticking around when the quote we and the quote us are spoken in contexts that clearly don't mean me. Courage is claiming this faith as home when nearly everything around me says that I'm out of place. Yet everything inside me says I am at home. Courage is the generations and generations of ancestors who taught us to actively pursue joy, laughter, celebration alongside our outrage, grief, and fatigue. The goddess Tonantzin, Madre de los Mexicos, bringer of corn, Nuestra Morenita, teaches that we can make for ourselves a place of comfort and leave room for wonder, even when our home has been invaded and has become nearly unrecognizable. Courage is being firm and saying, I know exactly where home is and what it looks like. I will figure out any way to get there with the help of good friends. We will dance the whole way there through the terrifying unknown. I will brave the rough waters, knowing that my boat may be small, but it is so strong I'll leave a trail of beauty in my wake so that other courageous seekers who follow will not be lonely on their journeys, because despite all, this river in my soul will not let me forget that I am somebody.
Bravo.
Let us rise and join in the journey of courage as we sing Faya Rose Touré's soul-filled song.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart, flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my
It took a river of ancestors to bring us here together today, gathering on the banks of the Mississippi River.
A river that represents bondage as well as liberation.
A river that symbolizes wealth of spirit and of faith.
A river that is both cataclysmic and yet can bring healing balm to the soul.
A river that is a manifestation of the blood that runs through all of our veins.
A river that serves as a conduit of diverse culture and religion that force us to accept, embrace, and even love difference.
A river of ancestors who offered us gifts of courage and heart Compassion and hope have brought us to this place and this time together.
A river that has so many stories to tell.
We have heard 4 stories out of thousands, stories of us, stories of understanding, love, courage, and home. And there are so many more stories to tell.
Let us resist any narrative that tells us we are alone, that any one of us has pulled ourselves up all by ourselves.
Outside of community,
outside of systems,
outside of history,
we rest on the shoulders of many ancestors.
We rejoice in our interdependent web of existence across space and time. We rejoice and we honor our ancestors, those who have died, passed away into the mystery, who opened the way for us to be who we are and how we are. For the ancestors who showed us love, who chose to live and lead with courage, whose lives made our own in their stories, their blood, and their wisdom.
We rejoice and honor the ancestors that whisper in our ears lovingly, daily, and who strongly demand justice. We give thanks.
Beloveds, at this time, we invite you to think of the ancestors who co-created you. Let us take a deep breath together, in and out. And again.
And again.
Earlier, we poured libation to honor those who have come before us. We invite you to continue to fill this room with their names, with their stories, and with our gratitude.
We give thanks.
We give thanks. And the people say,
we give thanks.
That's good.
Mine's after you.
Mm-hmm.
I love our people. Dear friends. Oh, that laughter. Laughter. We invite you to take a collective laugh. Thank you, Loretta, for this one. And a deep collective breath. Settle gently into the place where you are. Allow your heart to soften into this moment. We breathe in and out together, exchanging sacred breath with the trees and the river and the bayous and with each other. We have come together with broken hearts and broken promises. We have come together to revisit, restore, renew, recreate the covenant that binds together this faithful body. We have come together to take a faithful assessment of how power is arranged within our hearts, our congregations, our association, our institutions, our governments, our societies. Friends, we have come together for some spiritual fortification.
We breathe in and out together, exchanging sacred breath with the trees and the river and the bayous and with each other. We may not always know what or where home is or how to be there, but we give thanks in this moment that we are not alone. We are held in a vast web of love and co-creation, and we are worthy now. We are enough. Revelation is ever unfolding, and we have the courage, the heart, and compassion to live into what is wanting to be born of us, the promise of beloved community. We breathe in and out together.
And we
Ashe,
Ashe,
Ashe, and
and
amen.
amen.
Thank you.
In this time and in this place, we invite forward our precious leaders to light the chalice in the power of grace.
And with this flame, we say, welcome to Nolens. We send you off this evening with this song written by Rabbi Shoshana Meira Friedman, first sung at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., to lift up Pope Francis' call to action on climate change. The tide is rising, and so are we. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able and join me in singing. The tide is rising. The tide is rising.